What's up, winners and whiners, people? It's me, Detroit Lenny here, joined with Scott Reichel, talk some college football action. Scott, how's it going for you on this Halloween? I almost said Halloween Eve, but it's actually Halloween, so just Halloween. How's it going for you, my friend?
Good. I was letting you figure out if you wanted to call it Halloween Eve or not. No,
I,
I'm
I
good.
I'm a
I'm
little
good.
iffy. I'm still iffy, to be honest with you. I'm torn.
Yeah, can't
Uh,
complain. Looking forward to the college slate. Unfortunately, baseball season's over, so that's one less sport to talk about. But
I didn't
is
know if
what
you
it is.
wanted to bring it up. I didn't
I mean, it,
know.
it's fine. I did
Okay,
a couple podcasts. I picked the Dodgers in six. I'm
okay,
realistic with it. It is what it is. The Yankees, of course, you don't want to see your favorite team lose that way with a 5-0 lead with
that's
basically
hard.
three errors in one inning to sabotage all the hopes. But yeah, it is what it is. Dodgers were the better team. It helps when you're deferring all your payments to Otani for about 30 years. So that definitely helps the actual, cap piece of it.
Mhm.
But is what it is. A point is, though, the Yankees made it to the World Series for the first time in a while. It was a fun ride, but did I think the team was flawed? Yes. So I'm
Right.
not shocked that the Dodgers won. It is what it is, and we'll go from there. If Soto ends up going to the Mets, I'll be more upset. But for the actual season, they were, it was an overall fun playoff run. It ended poorly, but they won a couple rounds. That counts for
Right.
something.
I kind of feel that way about the Tigers. Like, I don't think anybody really got that where thought they'd get that
Your
far.
team, your team was dead 3 months ago. You should just be happy for the ride.
Right, exactly. But in the same sense, I hate that I lost to the Guardians, just them in general. But like, whatever. It is what it is. It was a good run while it lasted. See you next year. Let's go. Sad baseball's over. I am. I'm sad baseball's over.
That's
But
fair.
we got college football to talk about. You guys got to like, share, subscribe. If you haven't already, hit that like button. As always, drop a comment in the comment section what you're into, what you're not into, whether you think we're crazy or not. That's a different conversation, obviously. But whatever questions you got going on, drop it in the chat. Let's get this party started, shall we? Broncos and Boise State minus 23.5 Friday night. This Friday night game over under 57.5. Boise State ranked 15th in the country, 6-1, 3-0 in their conference, running. I almost say running away with the Mountain West, but Colorado State just hangs around. But what are your thoughts here on this game here?
Yeah, so the question for Boise State is after you ended up beating basically your biggest competition, UNLV, last week, is there a letdown spot? Because South Dakota State is 2-0 in conference play somehow. I don't think they're very good if you just watch them play, but they're 3-4 overall, 2-0 in conference. So the
Right.
question is Boise should win this game. I'm not going to give you a case that San Diego State's going to go into the Smurf turf and win. But do I think that this is too many points? I think it might be. I feel like Boise's going to win, but I think they might coast. I think Boise has a pretty solid letdown spot. That UNLV game was intense. You ended up seeing Genty score the go-ahead touchdown there in the fourth quarter. They could have
Right.
lost that game. That was a great overall game between, I think, the two best teams in the conference. Colorado State, I think, will eventually lose a game or two here or there. So I think
Yes.
UNLV will be having a rematch against Boise for the conference title at the end. I think Boise wins, but 23.5 does feel a bit large to me. I see them winning by like 17. You saw Boise struggle a bit against Hawaii. I saw them winning that game by 21. That was definitely closer than the score suggested. Beat UNLV in a close game. I think Boise is the best team in the conference, but I do think that San Diego State has been quietly decent in conference play. Still not sold on them as a team as a whole, but I do think that they are decent enough to not get totally destroyed. This line suggests they're going to get killed. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go that far. Give me a bit of a letdown spot there for Boise after beating UNLV. I'll go with San Diego State to cover, but to lose by like 17.
I was just gonna say I don't hate the I have no like I don't think San Diego State's in this game in at all in any way, shape, or form. I think this is a boring game. Kind of Boise kind of just coast. Do they
Boise
win by
goes up and
20?
runs the ball.
Yeah, they get up, run the ball. Do they win by 20? Sure. Do they win by 24? That seems like a lot. I mean, I could see them winning this game 24-10. I honest to God, I don't and that kind of plays to the under, which is probably my more favorite play because I think Boise gets up and coasts. And I don't know how much we get out of San Diego State, but in all reality, I have $0 bet on this game. I might get into a teaser or something like that. But I don't even know if I want to watch this game. I don't think it's going to be a good game. So that's my thoughts on that game. But
He goes for 200 yards, though. I want him to win the Heisman. I don't think he's going to, but I hope he
yeah,
does.
yeah. I don't think he's going to, but I hope he does. Right. This game I do have some action in. Ducks minus 14.5 total, 45.5 as we move to Saturday. What is this? This is Saturday. What is Saturday? The 2nd? Yeah, because Friday's that makes sense. Today's 31st. Leonard, pay attention.
Yeah.
Sorry. Halloween, yeah. Ducks on the road, going to the big house. Michigan just comes off that. I don't want to say big win, but it's an in-state rivalry win against Michigan State. 24-17. Not an impressive win, I didn't feel like. I mean, I whatever.
I thought Michigan State was potential to win the game. I'll give him props from that perspective, but it was an ugly game.
It wasn't pretty for either team.
Yeah.
But Oregon comes in here, ranked number 1 in the country, totals at 45.5. Is a big number on the road to be laying here. Do we expect Michigan to just lay down and die now because they beat Michigan State?
I'm not going to say that's why they're going to lay down and die. I think they might lay down and die because I don't think they're very good. Shout out, though, to Jack Tuttle, who started a game or two and he retired from the sport. So they've won a less quarterback to talk about.
Yep.
But for this team,
they did a couple of forward passes, too, against Michigan State. Finally.
Yeah, they did. Point is, though, you're looking at Warren, who I guess is the new quarterback for this team. 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. Oregon has looked very good. We saw them beat Ohio State, obviously. They definitely got the job done in very, very, I say, stressful fashion. Then they beat Purdue. They beat Illinois. They had a couple potential letdown spots, and they killed Illinois. That game was over quickly, 38-9. I think Michigan offensively is still not good. They're going to try to run the ball, and the argument is, can Michigan, I guess, drain enough clock to keep this game competitive? I'm going to say no. I think beating Illinois, beating Ohio State, and the fact that defensively they've been great. I mean, they've allowed 9 points in the last 2 games combined. I just don't see Michigan doing enough offensively. I think that Gabriel, who I believe now is second all time in college passing touchdowns, should have some success against this defense. And I think that Oregon overall is a very solid team. They're number 1 for a reason. You could argue that maybe Oregon is in a spot where they're going to overlook Michigan. I disagree. They got Maryland on deck. No look-ahead spot. They already beat Ohio State. They beat a couple ranked teams already.
Right.
They're trying to get a potential bye in the actual playoff. Like I don't see them looking ahead to anybody. I think Oregon comes out and smacks them. I think the game might be close for a bit, but I do think Oregon has the physicality to, I'd say, match Michigan in the trenches, maybe and then some. And, of course, you have a quarterback who could actually throw. So I'm going to go Oregon to win this game by about 20. I think Michigan can maybe hang in there for a quarter or so, but I just see enough big plays by Oregon's offense to get the job done. Michigan really doesn't have that. They ran that gadget play for a touchdown against State. That's basically it. They had to call some trick plays to try to get something going, but they still can't throw the ball. I think Gabriel's been good. I think Oregon's been very good, and the fact is I think this team is worthy of being number 1 in the country. Michigan, I think, is a team that'll finish the year with probably – 7 wins, 7, 8 wins. Like, they're just a serious talent gap here. I'll go with Oregon.
I lay in the points here with Oregon as well, but I don't think this is close at all. I don't know. I think Oregon's defense kind of shuts them down, and I think they run all over them. I actually don't hate this under as well. I don't know if Michigan scores that much. I think Oregon puts the foot on them early and often. You mentioned like a first quarter type situation or like being in it for a quarter. I wouldn't hate that, actually. If you could get Michigan plus points first quarter, maybe they come out hot. Oregon's a little flat out the gate, get moving. But I think down the road here, this isn't close. Oregon by 3 touchdowns. I'll say it.
The problem Michigan has, though, that since they can throw the ball, they are not built to come from behind. So if Oregon goes up 2 possessions, Michigan's got serious problems because they can't throw. So that's kind of why I'm picking Oregon. I feel like if this game is within 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, for example, and Michigan has to abandon the run, good luck with that. Like, that's not going to go well. So I think Oregon is going to be able to make Michigan have to catch up. They won't be able to, and the game might get ugly. So I'll go from Oregon for that perspective.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. And that I even like Michigan more because they could stay in it with them for the first quarter. And then after that, Oregon's just going to continuously score. And Michigan by the second quarter will have to play catch up, and then that's all bad for them. Speaking of bad Michigan teams, Indiana and the Hoosiers are favored 8 on the road to Michigan State here, 51.5. Michigan State, you don't need to run a bunch of trick plays to beat Michigan. You just need to keep running the ball, and you could have beat them. But I saw a quote from Michigan State coach after that game and said, "Now I know what to expect from that rivalry." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean now you know? Like you were brought into this state, to this team for this rivalry to be competitive, and they were not." I hate to say this, but I am all over the Hoosiers -8. I'm all over them in every way, shape, or form against my Spartans. And I hate to say that, but what are your thoughts?
I kind of like the under in this game. I think you're looking at a spot where there's a situation for Michigan State where after losing to Michigan, we know offensively they're not great with Childs at quarterback. Saw Michigan really, I'd say, struggle offensively at times, and eventually they figured it out and they won the game by 7. Indiana, though, it's a weird spot for Rourke because he missed the last game. Thought the backup was fine. They beat Washington, but you ended up seeing a pick 6 involved, and it just seemed like Indiana did enough to get the job done. But he had surgery, and now he's coming back off of surgery to play. I don't know how Rourke's going to look. Like, it's kind of a weird spot. It wouldn't shock me if Rourke struggled a bit over the course of the early portions of this game. Give me the under. I feel like even though I like Rourke as a player, I think Michigan State's defense is fine. The offense isn't that great, and Rourke off of surgery, I'm skeptical. I don't see Rourke coming back and immediately throwing for 350 yards. I think that there might be a little bit of rust involved, or maybe a little bit of, I just say, a lack of comfort for Rourke dealing with the, I'd say, post-surgery life in his first game back. Give me the under. I think Indiana will win, but I think this game could be ugly. A couple ways to get there. Indiana's defense has been fine. They can shut down Michigan State. Maybe Rourke doesn't do that well back at quarterback. I think that the under is a decent play because there's a couple ways to get there. I'll go with the under.
That's fair. You bring up a good point. Michigan State, the good of this team is that defense, that offense. Childs, I don't hate him per se, but when he scrambles out, I wish he would just run. Because when he scrambles and throws, it's a bad decision, and that's just all bad. I wish he'd just run and slide, take the 6-yard gain, slide, look for another play. Play the next down. Take the 2, 5, 6 yards, take the little yardage, but he's always looking for the home run, and that's never good. That's never good. But I like the under as well. I get behind that. Let's talk this Ohio State. Buckeyes -3.5 on the road, Penn State, over under 45.5. Now this is Big Ten football right here. Number 3 and 4 ranked school in the country. Penn State's 7-0. But have they really played anybody? What are your thoughts here?
Not really. I mean, I'll give them props to beat Wisconsin. They ended up getting the job done there. They covered as well. But the only ranked team they beat on paper is Illinois. And we saw Illinois get buried by Oregon, and Illinois, what do you know, is ranked 24th. So that's the only team they've beaten so far that's ranked. The issue with Penn State is that Aller got injured against Wisconsin. The counterpoint is you don't know if they're better off without him or not because they brought in Bo in the second half, and he was great against Wisconsin. So we'll see what happens, but they don't know if Aller's going to play or not. He's questionable, so we'll see what happens. But to answer your question, has Penn State really beaten anybody? Not really. I mean, West Virginia turned out to be bad. Illinois has been okay. UCLA is not any good. USC was projected to be good. They've been kind of a mess. And Wisconsin's in the same boat. So Wisconsin was playing better, and Penn State took over the second half. But have they beaten great competition? Not really.
Right. Yeah, I can't, here's my thing with Penn State. I think they are a good team. Are they better without Aller? I don't know. We'll find out, right? I think the Penn State team, the side-wise, I think that gets into the teaser part. I think I'm going to take that over 7.5, over 10 in a 6-point teaser or something like that. Or not over 10, 9.5. But I lean Penn State here. I'm not running to the window for this at all. I might live bet this because if Ohio State gets up early and often and Penn State's quarterback doesn't, just is not having it, it's not working, I'm going to roll Ohio State in play. But right now, I'm not running to the window for this game.
Yeah, for the record, I said that Penn State, I don't think it's really beaten anybody, but I got to at least keep it fair. Who's Ohio State beaten? They beat Akron. They beat Akron. They beat Western Michigan. They beat Marshall. They Michigan State, as you said before, your team's not very good. No offense. Beat
Fair.
Iowa. They're not as good as they have been in years past, but we know offensively they never score. Lost to Oregon in a game they could have won, but they lost. And they beat Nebraska barely in a game that they probably should have dominated based on the spot, and they no-showed the entire game. So it's not like, once again, Penn State's the only team that has not really beaten any great competition. In fact, Penn State's competition has been, I can't say better than Ohio State's because at least Ohio State played Oregon, but neither team's beaten anybody. Like, if we're actually just going by this,
if we're going by strength of schedule, I agree. I don't think either team could sit here and say my resume shows that I'm a world beater by any means.
You can make the argument that the best win between both those teams combined is like Ohio State beating Iowa or Penn State beating Wisconsin, or like maybe Illinois,
like that, win for them.
or like Illinois. Like, that's really an unimpressive schedule. So I think that both teams are pretty flawed. It's weird because I think they might be better without Aller. I'm so anti-Aller, and I understand that he's projected to be a top 10 pick. I don't think he's any good. And I just am going to be fully honest about it. I think that he's a quarterback who is hyped up. I don't want to compare him to like a Carson Beck, but it feels like people are very fascinated by the measurables. He's tall. He has a good arm. They can see some of that skill set translating to the NFL. But you watch him play, and you're just really unimpressed most of the time. Is that a fair statement? Because I've seen Aller play for a couple of years, and every time he faces off against a good team, he doesn't do anything. Against Wisconsin, I thought his stats were fine against Wisconsin. But watching him play, I thought he was really a non-factor, which is kind of why you shouldn't blindly follow the box score. Then he got hurt. Wisconsin threw a pick 6. Bo came in, and they ran the ball down Wisconsin's throats. Like, I feel like Penn State's game plan for this game, with or without Aller, will be to run the ball. Is it going to work? I don't know, because Ohio State's good against the run. It is in a pretty solid spot for Penn State because it is a home game, so that's going to play a factor. But the issue is you have coaches who you refuse to trust in big games. You have Ryan Day, who I don't think is good, and I believe Jim Harbaugh said he was born on what, second base? Third base? In other words, he inherited a great overall program, but he can't actually coach. I agree with that. I don't think Ryan Day is that good of a coach, and Ohio State fans will probably agree with me. Then you have James Franklin, who never beats anybody worth a damn, and he loses every big game that he's in. So I don't trust either coach in this matchup. So I think it kind of cancels out. For the sake of this matchup, I think it's going to be an ugly game. I'm not a big Will Howard guy. I think Ohio State's receivers are better. So if you want to go for big playability, then maybe Ohio State can get it done. I'm going to go Penn State plus the points. Am I going to bet this? Am I going to bet this? No chance in hell. But it's in Penn State.
Not run into the window, right?
It's in Penn State. I think Bo's not bad, but it's mostly the home crowd, and with the overall, I'd say, flaws I have with both teams, I think these teams are very close. I'll give this game basically a coin flip feel to it, with a slight lean to Ohio State. But 3.5, I can see this game landing 3. I think that's actually a realistic number for me. So if I'm picking a close game that comes down to the wire, an ugly game, 23-20, I'll take the points. Give me Penn State at home.
Also, I think this game means more to look, Penn State can come out of this 7-1. They can come out of this with a loss and still be okay at 7-1. Ohio State, I don't feel like they can come out of this 6-2.
I don't know. Like, can Ohio State make the playoff? They might end up making it because they would have lost to Oregon and Penn State, who would be number 1 and number 2 in the country.
Fair.
So if you want to go with that argument,
make a case for that, but if you're an Ohio State fan, you don't want to make a case for that. The 3 and a hook bothers me. It does.
I don't want to lay this on the road. I'm not interested in laying this on the road. So it's Penn State or pass for me, but I don't like either coach. I think both teams have their flaws. And Ohio State against Nebraska, damn, that's embarrassing. Nebraska lost to Indiana by like 49. And you had a hard time putting them away in the fourth quarter. You won by 4. In fact, you trailed in the fourth quarter. So I'm not sold on how this team's played. They have a really big issue on the left side of their offensive line. They have no left tackle at all, and that could be a problem against this pass rush. And Howard is somewhat mobile, not really. I'll go Penn State.
Fair enough. Let's talk this matchup here. We got Miami Hurricanes hosting Duke and the Blue Devils. Miami favored by damn near 3 touchdowns. Total 54.5. Miami ranked number 5th in the country, 8-0. Just having a season. But Duke, 6-2. I think this is a lot of points here. I know they're at home. I know Miami's good. I know I love the Hurricanes. Um, I still think that this Duke team is sneaky good, and I'll take the points here and put this in my back pocket. I think there's a lot of points here. 3 touchdowns. Love Duke and teasers as well. But I not my favorite bet by any means, but I think there's a lot of points here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you a quick question. Duke, let's say that they make the field goal against SMU and the kick is
Yeah.
not blocked and they don't lose on a 2-point conversion attempt in overtime. Is Miami laying 20.5 if
I
Duke won
think
that game?
I think Duke's been disrespected all
But I'm
year.
wondering
So I'll
if they
say
beat SMU in that game, is Miami favored by like 17 instead of 20?
uh, probably.
I feel like
Probably.
once
I
again
would
there
say
might be an
17,
overreaction.
18.
They lost on a
Yeah.
2-point conversion attempt in a game they probably should have won. Now, it's a weird game to reevaluate because Duke ended up losing in overtime,
Mhm.
but they won the turnover battle 6-0, and they lost, which is almost impossible. You win a
That's just
turnover
hard to
battle
do. You can't you
6-0.
could try to do that, and that's hard to do.
It was mainly because they couldn't kick. But the point is, Duke was gifted every opportunity by SMU. If SMU does not turn the ball over all the time, they probably get buried. So there's two ways to look at it. On one hand, the defense of Manny Diaz has been great. On the other hand, they were pretty fortunate to be in that game in the first place, and they almost won it just by getting
Right.
every lucky break they could possibly get. So Miami, I think, is the better team, obviously, but I'm going to take the points. I think Duke's defense is good enough to actually keep this game competitive. I see Sonny
Right.
mentioning that in the comment section. He thinks the defense is good enough to hang in there. I agree. We've seen some bad decision making by Ward so far this season. He's a great quarterback. He's probably going to end up being the Heisman favorite, if I had to guess. At least, I think he still is the Heisman favorite. It might be Genty still, but solid. The issue is sometimes he makes some dumb decisions. He had at least three straight games with a pick, which was an issue
Mhm.
over the course of the season. Been better lately, but I do think he is in a spot where Manny Diaz can make some, I'd say, difficult situations for him with the pass rush, with the actual coverages, switching things up. And I do think that Miami wins, but not in extremely dominant fashion.
Right.
I'm going to go Duke plus the points. It's a lot to be expecting a 3-touchdown win here. I think Duke's a fine team. Miami better, but I'm not going to overreact to Miami beating Florida State by 22. I feel
No.
like Miami, if they go undefeated, they're fine. They don't need the style points. They don't really care. If they go undefeated and they win the ACC, they're making it into the playoff guaranteed. So I don't think that there's any style point bonus here. Give me Duke plus the points.
Yeah, I feel like they should have beat Florida State by even more, to be honest with you.
Well, they should have. Florida State had a drive at the last second to score, but still.
Yeah.
Florida State's
Uh,
terrible. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Ole Miss and the Rebels -7 against Arkansas, over under 53.5. I cannot, for the love of God, get on the right side of Arkansas.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. I don't initially I want to take the points at home. I do. I want to take the over. I want to take the points, but I don't have a damn nickel in this game. What are your thoughts in this game?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm not sure how to grade Arkansas because they
I just
buried
can't
Mississippi
get on
State.
them.
I mean, Mississippi State's the worst team in the conference, but they gave they gave Georgia a game if that counts. But they scored 58 points. Played LSU, they got their asses kicked. Beat Tennessee, weird game there where they scored 19 points and beat Tennessee. They lost to A&M, which actually aged very well because A&M's now potentially has a shot to win the conference in theory.
Mhm.
And they beat Auburn by 10. Like, they've been kind of up and down all year. Ole Miss has lost 2 games. They lost to LSU in overtime in a game they probably should have won. And they lost to Kentucky in a game that was very, very weird, and they ended up blowing that one. So I think Ole Miss is better. It's a really tough game to break down. Like, I understand why you're having a hard time just actually finding a side. I want no interest in betting this game at all.
None.
I think I am going to go Arkansas. Since I don't know, give me the dog at home going over some key numbers. I mean, you cover 6, you cover 7. I see some 8s available for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think ESPN actually has 8, so you might be able to get a better number in Arkansas. I'll go Arkansas at home. Woo pig.
Yeah, I just can't it's not, I don't know if it's just there's no way to track this team. They just are unpredictable. Like the Tennessee win was that weird win, that 19-14 win, like you mentioned, but it's just they beat somebody like Tennessee. Then they turn around, they lose to Texas A&M, which at the time I thought was horrible. But then you look at it now, it like you said, it aged very well because A&M's 7-1, 5-0 in the conference, top of the conference. So I don't know about this game. I got no, like I said, I'm not running to the window for this one by any means. This next one, though, we get some service academy schools here. Air Force Falcons, Army, 21.5, total 41.5. Army just beats the hell out of everybody. 7-0 on the road. I mean, overall, ranked 21st in the country. Air Force, on the other hand, they can't hit the side of a barn. They're 1-6, and they're bad. Do they have a shot here? I mean, I'm on Army. I think this game is like
a shot at what? At covering or winning the game?
Covering.
There's no chance they win this game.
No chance they win the game.
Well, just to be clear, there's no chance they're winning this game.
Like, there's no rivalry, right, that we think that, Air Force gets up for this game.
Well, it's still, you still try to go for, like, the trophy there, but the point is Air Force is not going to beat Navy. They already lost to Navy by 27. Right. So, Navy kind of set what I think's going to happen in this game. We saw the script about a month ago. Yeah. Air Force got curb stomped by Navy. That game was not close. They lost by 27. I think Army's really good. I think Army is a very solid team, and I think that Daly should be in the Heisman conversation. They might not put him there, but you look at his numbers, and you can't argue with them, because Daly, as a triple option quarterback, has 19 touchdowns, 909 rushing yards, and 7 passing touchdowns. 26 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Give this guy a damn invite to New York. That's all I'm saying. He doesn't have to win.
Give him a shot.
You got to give him some credit. You got to give him something, because right now they're ranked and they're undefeated. I got to mention it. Daly's been really, really good. He's the best quarterback Army's had in a long time. He has been very, very effective. Best quarterback since, I don't know, Ahmad Bradshaw, maybe? They had Ahmad Bradshaw like 8 years ago, who I thought was pretty solid. But the point is, I think that Army's finally got themselves a guy. They have the offense that's been rolling. Air Force can't move the ball. They've rotated multiple quarterbacks, and I'm not sure any of them are good. So it's a lot of points in a rivalry game. I'll admit that. But Air Force is really bad. It's a close call.
Like, not making fun of them bad. Like, I'm not making fun of you, but you're really bad. You know what I mean?
No, you just feel bad.
Yeah, you're on that UTEP train right now. So
pretty much. The problem is it's at 40.5, and Air Force did give up 34 to Navy. I thought about the under, just hoping for Army to go up and coast. I don't even know if I like the under, because Army could lay it on them. Yeah, but I think Army, it's a really tricky game. I wish it was 20.5 instead of 21.5. But I mean, Army I think is going to win. But you know what? I think I'm going to go with the under in this game.
I'm not worried about the 21.5. I'm more worried about the over. I'm more worried about the total, because I worry Army hits this by themselves. And
it's pretty tricky, though.
You know what I mean? That's why I worry about the under. But I'll tell you what, Army's going to throw 30 on them. So it's just a matter of, do you think Air Force puts 10 up?
Historically speaking, these triple option rivalry games with these service academy schools, the under is a great play. Didn't work out in the Navy game because Navy went nuts offensively. They had a couple big plays in the passing game. I get it. I don't think Air Force is going to do anything. So I think if you want, I don't know, Air Force team total, do they get to like 11? I don't know if they get to 11. You might want to consider a team total under for Air Force, but I think I'll go under. I'll back
you could find it at 9.5. The team total.
God. I mean, I can't argue with that number. I think I am going to go with the under in this one at the end of the day. It's 40.5. There's going to be a lot of running clock in this game. I think Army, once again, as long as they win, they don't really care by margin. And Air Force, they had a bye. Army had a bye too. You had some extra prep time involved. Give me a low-scoring game. Army wins this game like 31-7. Something like that. So
fair.
I'm going to go under.
I'm going to say like 32-3, something like that.
It's mostly just
Air Force got to put up some points.
It's a historical context play. Generally, the under in these matchups are the way to go. I'll go back to it. I'll go with the under 41.5.
And I don't know if another service academy will necessarily blow out another one. Like they won't blow them out
We
like
saw Navy
embarrassed.
do it, but it's usually
But
pretty
Navy's
rare.
on
But
a different level. Navy's trying to beat Oregon.
well, to be
I,
fair, I mean Navy got their ass kicked by Notre Dame last week, so
that didn't work out for
I
me.
think I'm looking forward to the Navy Army matchup. I think both teams are
I
pretty
can't wait for
comparable,
that. I
but
can't wait for that.
I think Army goes up and coasts. So I'll go Army to win this game by like 24, but I'll go with the
Yeah,
under.
fair enough. Fair enough. There you go. Let's talk Minnesota and the Golden Gophers. God, I love this. -3. Illinois, total 45.5. I don't know. I go back and forth with this game. I just like saying the Golden Gophers. But I'm trying to see, what do I have on this game right now? I'm on Illinois. I'm on the home dog. So I went Illinois on this matchup, and I'm trying to find my notes, and my computer's restarting over here with my notes. So I'm on the home dog. That's all I needed to know. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
I think I'm going to agree with you. I find
Okay.
it pretty weird that Minnesota's favored in this game when they've been very good the last 3 weeks. Beat Maryland. I don't know how good Maryland is. I have no idea. Beat UCLA barely. Came from behind in that game. UCLA's not any good. And they beat USC. I don't think USC is any good.
Right.
So I don't really have any strong opinions about this Minnesota team. I think that they're fine. Illinois, I feel like it's kind of in the same boat. Am I supposed to get mad at you for losing to Oregon? Like, am I
No.
supposed to like you're looking at the two losses? They
Right.
lost to Oregon and they lost to Penn
Penn
State.
State.
I'm
Right.
supposed to be mad at you for that?
No.
I think the team's fine. I think this game's going to be close. I do think that Illinois has a solid quarterback in Altmaier. I think Altmaier's good. I think Brosmer's been fine this season, but I think that Altmaier's better. I'm going to go Illinois here. I think Illinois is a team that's been disrespected, and they're at home. It's the Big Ten, too, so I think that home field actually does matter. I'll go Illinois money line. Give me an ugly, close game that Illinois wins, like, I don't even know, 24-20.
I was just this is a close game. I'll take the points here in this one, and when I think a Big Ten matchup, I think this is going to be just a gritty dogfight of a kind of a game. It won't be pretty, I don't think so at all in any means. I mean, that you might push on this 3 number. So if you could find 2.5s like Minnesota, grab that. If you find 3.5s, you want to buy the hook, buy the hook. Either way, you do you. I'm on Illinois, and that's all I got in this game. This game, though, Florida, Georgia, Bulldogs -16.5, total 51.5. Does Florida really have a shot? And I mean this, not just cover. They have a shot in hell. I mean, this is somewhat, I mean, what do they used to call this? The largest cocktail party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah, in the world. Well,
yeah,
in the world. But I don't think they do that. I don't think they can do that anymore. They don't bill it that way anymore. I don't know.
Oh, they can't because most of the kids are underage. No, but for this one,
Oh,
I am
yeah,
going to
yeah,
go. I think I'm going to go with Georgia in this one. Florida's kind of in a weird spot. They switched to Lagway. They killed Kentucky. Kentucky's falling apart. So they're 3-5. Like, I don't know what exactly to make of that Kentucky team. They're not very good. But I feel like at the time, that might have been a bit of an overreaction for their win against them. Georgia beat Texas. They showed up for a game. They had a bye week. We'll see what happens. But Georgia has to win out. If they lose another game, they're probably out of the entire playoff picture, if I had to guess. You could argue that maybe they could survive another loss, but why would you take the chance? They still want a conference title, like game appearance. They can still win that. So Alabama fell apart. That helps for them. But I do think you're looking at Georgia, who I think is the better team. I think Lagway's fine, but they buried Kentucky. Kentucky turned out to not be any good. It is what it is. I think Georgia is the better team. The issue is, do I think Beck is going to actually not turn the ball over? I don't know. If Georgia does, then they're not going to cover. If Beck is able to go for like 280 and no picks, then I like their chances.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Georgia. I still don't think Florida's that great. They've been better lately. Both teams are off the bye, though, so momentum has kind of been halted at this point. I'm going to go Georgia. Maybe I'm just hoping they finally put together that effort we've been waiting for all season. But I think they finally show up at home and win by like 3 touchdowns.
They have to here. I think they need the style points, not just the win, but they need the style points. In Florida, this screams, though, like a spot where Florida just puts them away and everybody watches Georgia die. And it's time to watch Georgia die after the last 4 years of dominance, to be honest with you. But I think a lot of points here, but Florida doesn't scream, and nothing on their resume screams that they're up for this challenge. to be an upset type team here. In Georgia, I think they get up early and maybe they coast. That's got to be their kind of game plan. But I'm not running to anywhere to bet this one. I got not a nickel on this game here.
All I'm going to say, though,
should
is
be a
that
good game, though.
All I want to say, though, is that in the Florida game against Kentucky, they won the game. They scored 48 points. 48 points. Lagway completed 7 of 14 passes, and they scored 48 points. They completed 7 passes.
Yeah,
I'm going to pump the brakes on Florida's offense here. I think
right.
Georgia's
I'm not
going to give
yeah. And not to mention that Kentucky team, you brought that point up. They are actively falling apart. Like somebody needs to hit the pause button over there. They are just falling off of the ledge there. And so I'm not going to give credit to Florida for a whole lot of a win there. I just don't know if Georgia has it. Like I worry about a backdoor cover. This is a weird number, 16.
No, 17 is a key number. You can still get there.
Yeah, you can get there, but I don't.
It sounds like you want to take Florida because you don't know how much you can trust Georgia. And I agree with you that I can't really trust them. But Lagway completed 7 passes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I want to take Florida. I want to go down that path, but I'm not putting any money on it. Let's talk this here. Texas.
I've never seen that logo in my life.
This Texas Tech logo?
That is awesome. What is that?
It's Texas Tech Red Raiders. I don't know. I just Googled that.
That is sick. Logo. I've never seen that in my life.
I'm used to
the tees that are
logo.
like set up.
Yeah, I love that logo.
The tees that are kind of like, yeah.
I try to find the old. I use the old Toronto side note. Use the old Toronto Raptor logo too with the dinosaur.
That's the best one. I thought it was. I thought we were gonna have like
the old school ones.
I thought it was gonna be like an alphabet bowl. We're just gonna have like the T's against the I. But no, we actually have a logo here for Tech. Okay.
Yeah, cool. There we go. Texas Tech and those Red Raiders. Don't they look like Red Raiders? Iowa State Cyclones. They're minus 13.5. There's no dash there, but we'll fire that graphics guy. 56.5 total here. Texas Tech 5-3. I tend to.
How the hell did they lose last week? How did they lose last week? They were kicking TCU's ass. How the hell did they lose that game?
I don't understand, but I hate. I want TCU's bad. I don't like TCU. It's a terrible loss. They lose to Baylor 59-35. Baylor's not great. Like, are they falling apart around us? Because 2 weeks ago, I'd have been all over Iowa State. I'd have been all over Texas State and the points here. Now, I don't know. I don't know. But Iowa State just, I don't know. I don't like this game.
Yeah, so going through the game last week against TCU, Texas Tech normally not great on the road. They're usually very good at home, right. Very bad on the road. Against TCU, they led by 17 in the third quarter. They led by 13 with about 8 minutes and 45 seconds left, and they lost the game. So, yeah, Tech is not a great defensive team. Hoover had 2 picks, but he had 344 yards. That's really the issue that I have with this Texas Tech team. They are not very good against the pass. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor in Texas Tech had 5 touchdowns. I don't think Sawyer Robertson's that good. So That's a bit of a problem for Texas Tech. And we know that Iowa State loves to throw the ball. I like the over in this game.
Okay.
I see points. I think that both teams defensively, Iowa State's defense has been fine. Hasn't been great lately. They gave up a ton of points to UCF in that game that they were pretty lucky to win. I get the art. I think I'm going to take the points with Tech. I really just don't want to lay this with Iowa State. They are off a bye, which helps. But I just see points in this game. I think Beck's going to go crazy for 300-plus yards and maybe like 3-4 touchdowns. I think Morton could have a solid game too. Brooks is a good running back as well. Give me a high-scoring shootout. I'll go with the over.
Yeah, I see that. I would probably lean over more than I would lean either side.
They gave up 59 to Baylor. I can't overlook.
Yeah, right.
I
think Iowa State could get into the 30s here.
I think Beck's good. They got a shot at 40 in this game. If you want to talk about
exactly. High 30s, low 40s, something like that. Does Texas State show up and put it on them too? Probably put some points. They'll put 20 up at least. I'd be ventured to say this gets into the 60s, maybe even hit 70. I like this game here. Somebody put it's a bad horse. I could see it. It's a bat horse.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
I'll go with the over, though. Give me points.
Yeah, give me the over. Give me all the over. Kansas State Wildcats minus 13.5 here. Houston, not a very good team. Total 45.5. I kind of gotta lay the points here.
Do you have a graphic, by the way, or you didn't have a graphic for this one?
Oh, didn't I hit a graphic?
I don't know.
Wildcats? Is that you see that?
Now it's here. Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I sometimes I double click it and it goes away, but yeah. Kansas State minus 13.5. I kind of gotta lay the points. You can find 13 out there. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I think Kansas State puts it on Houston. Houston 3-5, 2-3 in the conference. They have troubles this year. They are coming off that big win against Utah, 17-14, or 17-14. They win that game, but Kansas State, since they lost to BYU, they got their ass whooped against BYU. A good old-fashioned butt whooping. But since then, pulled off some wins. Oklahoma State, Colorado, West Virginia, Kansas. 29-27, something like that. 29-28 against Kansas. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, they ended up surviving against Kansas. They won 29-27. The point I'll make, though, is that Houston a couple weeks ago played Kansas. They lost by 28. So that's probably not a good sign. Game's in Houston, so of course they do have a home field element to it, but they can't score. They just can't move the ball. This offense is a mess, and I do think that Kansas State can move the ball. Johnson's been fine this season. People thought he'd be better. He's been fine, though. Giddens been a good running back for this team. I'm going to go with the points. I'm going to lay it. I think Kansas State can score a couple touchdowns. I'm not sure Houston can, so I'll go with Kansas State getting to like 24 or maybe even 27 or higher. I'm not sure Houston gets to 13. Like, I think Houston offensively is a bad team. Sonny's mentioning it. Their team total's at 15.5. I am not taking the over on
You
Houston's
could get it at
total.
16.5 at Pinnacle if you guys got Pinnacle. Shop your lines. You can get it at 16. I got that.
I am not picking Houston to get the 17 points. So I'll go with the Houston team total under. That team offensively is disgusting. And even in the Utah game, they scored 17. It wasn't like they lit it up offensively. Yeah, give me the team total under for Houston. That team can't score to save their lives.
No, not even a little bit. And I like the points here. I like Kansas State minus the points. I like Houston team total under. It's bad. Houston, you have a problem. No pun intended.
Well played. Nice.
Well played. Is that what I did there? Texas A&M. Aggies minus 2.5. South Carolina total 44.5. Man, I just don't want to get involved in this game because it screams to me, why isn't this higher? Why isn't Texas A&M favored by a touchdown? By maybe not touchdown, 4.5, 5.5, somewhere up there. I feel like it should be higher.
Well, I mean, South Carolina's off a bye. It's a night game. We have seen South Carolina get up for some night games before, and it's a hostile environment to play. However, A&M, how bad was Jimbo Fisher?
Bad.
Damn, Elko's a good coach. Like, A&M looked dead against Notre Dame in the first game of the season, and now they got a shot to go to the playoff. Shout out to Elko, who's done a great job with that team. The quarterback situation's kind of weird. They have Weigman. They also have Reed. They've been rotating, whatever works. I'm going to go A&M here. South Carolina killed Oklahoma. It was a pretty weird game. They had multiple defensive scores. They really did nothing. South Carolina had 254 yards. In fact, they got outgained by Oklahoma, and they won by 26 points. Oklahoma sucks. That's a terrible team. Like, I'm not going to overreact to that win, but the point is South Carolina defensively has a very good pass rush. They offensively are not that great. They're off the bye, but they've had a couple step-up games, and they've lost each of them. Played LSU, lost by 3. Had a controversial penalty on a pick 6, which kind of came back to bite them, but they lost that game. Played Ole Miss at home. They got buried by 24. Played Bama. They lost by 2, and they played Oklahoma. They ended up winning that one. Oklahoma stinks. I'm going to go A&M. I like what I've seen from this team. I think Elko is a very good coach. I just don't trust South Carolina's offense enough. I think it'll be an ugly game, but I do think Reed's not bad. He can run. A&M has a pretty solid identity in place. They're physical. I see a physical game here. Don't mind the under, but I am going to go with A&M to win this game. I think they're objectively the better team. I get that it's a night game. It's in South Carolina. It's a very hostile environment. I understand all that, and they're off the bye. But I think A&M is a well-coached team, and I think that they're better than South Carolina. I'm not a Sellers guy. I don't like South Carolina's quarterback situation. Give me A&M in an ugly game, 20-17.
That's fair. This line did open at 4, dropped down to 2.5. It's mostly at 3 now, but I don't hate the A&M play. I don't hate the underplay. I worry about the environment and when they're playing, nighttime, South Carolina, whatever, all that jazz. But I think you're right here. It's better play probably on the under because I think it's an ugly game. Like you said, 2017. It's not going to be a pretty game. Talk to me about this one, though. Louisville and Clemson and the Tigers -10, total 62.5. Does the Louisville have a chance here?
They have a chance. I'm not picking them to win, but they got a chance.
That's what I'm talking about, spread.
Spread, sure, but in reality, I think Clemson might lay it on them.
I like Clemson.
I like Clemson team total over. I think Louisville's defense is atrocious. Look at the last couple games they played. They gave up 52 to Miami, gave up 27 to Boston College. Boston College has been rotating quarterbacks. Castellanos has been injured kind of by the lineup, but he was good last week, kinda. He completed less than 50% of his passes, but he had 3 touchdowns. But I don't trust Louisville to actually stop anybody. And you're looking at Klubnik, you're looking at Clemson's offense. The last couple games, they've been amazing offensively. They've scored 40-plus points I got to actually pull up the numbers here. They have scored 40-plus points in 5 of the last 6 games. I think offensively, they can definitely put it on this defense. I think Clemson wins and covers. I like the team total over for Clemson, but Louisville's defense is a mess. And I think Shuck's a fine quarterback. He throws a lot of picks, though. Turnovers can be a problem for this team. I don't trust the defense, though. Give me Clemson off the bye at home.
That's fair. I'm going to jump on that team total with you. I do like Clemson minus the points here. I hate the 10, but I wish you could find 10.5. So just say, no, I'd feel better betting the 10.5 than I do the 10. It's just a weird thing for me.
Team total's what, though? Like 36.5?
36.5,
I think they get to 40.
Something like that. Yeah, they hit 40.
So.
Yeah,
I'll go with
probably the easiest way. I initially thought over on this, and which I like leads me into your team total because I think Clemson gets the 40, mid-40s, and Louisville 20-something. You know what I mean? So I think the over's in place too. But I mean,
reading off the defense though, 27 to Boston College, 52 to Miami, give up 34 to SMU at home, give up 31 to Notre Dame. They are not a good defensive team.
Nope.
So there you go.
There you go. There you have it. Let's talk about Kentucky. Tennessee -16.5, total 45.5. I get it's Kentucky, Tennessee, but there's not enough points for me to take Kentucky. There's not enough ever to be there. What are your thoughts here on this one? I'm going to take the over too, but I like Tennessee at home laying all the points, and I just don't care who shows up for Tennessee.
I cannot take the over in this game. I can't do it.
No,
I actually like the under, if anything.
Okay.
Tennessee offensively has really not been that great for the last couple weeks. They scored 71 against Kent State, who's one of the worst teams in all of FBS. 25 against Oklahoma. Scored 14 against Arkansas. 23 against Florida, but that was overtime. So they scored 17 in regulation. And they scored 24 against Alabama. Offensively, they have not been that great. Oliva's really been underwhelming. As we thought he might be a Heisman candidate, he's been average. I think we'll describe it that way. The offense for Kentucky, though, with Vandergriff has been awful. They have scored less than 21 points in 4 straight games. I like the under in this game. I don't want to lay it with Tennessee because I don't trust the offense. They're off a bye, though, so maybe they can get back on track. But Kentucky is just an under team. They got killed by Florida, and I'm aware of it. They gave up 48 points. But I can't trust this offense for either team. I'll go with the under. Give me an ugly game. I think Tennessee wins this like 20-7 maybe, but like I just don't want to actually take a side here because I don't know what Tennessee offense we're going to get. They've been a tale of 2 halves so far. Give me the under. The Tennessee defense is really good. Kentucky's defense, for the most part, has been fine. I see an ugly, low-scoring game where Tennessee gets up on the coast. I'll go with the under.
That's fair. And I'll tell you what, this line's already up 17.5 when I made this here earlier.
And nobody wants Kentucky because that team's falling apart.
Nobody wants Kentucky. And I'm laying the points, whatever, whenever. I understand what you're saying. I think you get a little bit more out of Tennessee's offense because Tennessee's defense is so bad. That's kind of where I lean into the over.
Tennessee's defense has been the strong point of this team, though. Like, we were expecting them to be a high-powered offense. Heupel's never really been a coach with a good defense. They've been a very good defense this year. I mean, you're looking at their overall numbers, and Tennessee has actually allowed less than 20 points in every game.
Yeah.
They've allowed less than 20 in every game. So defensively, they've been great. I think Kentucky's going to struggle to do anything offensively in this game.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the next one here. What do you got? Pitt and SMU. So late
undefeated game. Pitt. Got to mention that too.
My bad. Put some respect on their name. The undefeated Pitt Panthers against the SMU Mustangs. And let me just talk. This seems like it'd be on like the Vice channel at like 3 a.m. Like who'd win in a fight? You know, a Panther or a Mustang, some kind of weird, middle of the night Vice.
The Panthers have the claws. I'll take the claws.
I'll take the claws all day. Panthers on the road. Mustangs -7.5, total 58.5. I mean, SMU 7-1.
Yeah.
I mean, and who's their only loss against?
They lost to BYU in that ugly, like 18-15 game.
15 game. Yep. What are your thoughts here? I mean, this is a lot of points for a 7-0 and 7-1 team.
Well, you forgot to mention that it's a lot of points to be laying against an undefeated team.
Yeah.
Pitt's getting 7.5. They haven't lost a game yet. I'm going to take the points for this game. I think SMU will look better than they did against Duke. I like Duke in the game last week. They turned the ball over 6 times. Said before, they ended up finding a way to win a game while losing the turnover battle 6-0 on the road, which is almost impossible. But I think Pitt's good. I mean, Pitt has had a solid year. They killed Syracuse last game. They had extra prep time. They played Syracuse in a midweek game. Now, the argument is, has either team beaten anybody? Because Pitt ended up beating Syracuse. They're not very good. California, they're not very good. North Carolina's been bad. West Virginia's been bad. Cincinnati has not been great. They probably should have lost that game, but they came back and they won it. SMU, so far this season, lost to BYU in a step-up game. Beat TCU, not very good. Florida State's been terrible. Louisville's been fine, not great, but I guess that's their main win, beating Louisville on the road. And they beat Duke. And they probably, once again, they probably should have lost that game. I'm going to take the points. I think Pitt is a good team. I'm not saying that they're a great team, but I like their offense. I think that Holstein's a good quarterback. I like Reed. They got Mumfeld as a good receiver. Like, I like their weapons. I think they can score in this game. I'm taking the points. I understand that Narduzzi has been kind of overdue for a bit of a collapse. We see it every year with Narduzzi. But I like the offense. I think Holstein's good. And 7.5's a lot of points. SMU will be thrilled to win this game. They don't need to win by style points. Like, they're gonna probably, they might mob the field if they win this game in general. I think SMU might win the game, but I see it being a one-possession game late. And if that's the case, give me the plus 7.5.
I'll take the points, put them on my back pocket. I love Pitt in teaser cards all the way around.
This feels so disrespectful at 7.5.
It's so bad, which seems so obvious, which it makes me a little hesitant. But
I gave up on that. I thought UCF had a shot against BYU last week because of a weird point spread. I gave up on that angle. I'll just take the points.
That's fair. Let's talk about our best bet. We got a best bet. Let's talk about this game here. This is our best bet.
Well, you skipped something, though. We have to recap our best bet from last week.
Oh, we do. We should do that. What did we have? We had
Ball State.
We had Ball State, baby, outright winner.
They were plus 12.5. I think it was like plus 350 on the money line or something.
Yep.
And they beat Northern Illinois outright. So
I had a small play on that just because.
What an ending to a game. They choked and they had the field goal at the end. What a crazy game.
They did.
But
that was a good game.
It was a very good game, but Ball State covered the entire way, so it was never in doubt.
Fair. Yeah, never a doubt. Never a doubt. Let's talk about this one, though. I'm intrigued with this, and I'm glad we text back and forth about how we're going to come up with this play. And we went round and round about a few games, and this is the easy one because we were both on it. Tar Heels -2.5 on the road. Taking on Florida State and the Seminoles, 49.5 is your total. You can go ahead and start. I don't know how we get around this.
So earlier this season, I was mostly fading North Carolina because Mac Brown found ways to lose games. However, his teams were usually competitive in a lot of these games against some decent ACC competition. And last week, they actually won a game. They snapped the losing streak. They were able to beat Virginia, scored 41 points in that game. That's the main issue I have with Florida State here. North Carolina's 4-4. They're bad in conference play, but they need 2 more wins to make a bowl game. They're incentivized. They can still get something out of the season. And offensively, they're fine. Scored 24 against Pitt, scored 34 against Georgia Tech, 41 against Virginia. They can score. That counts for something. You got to be able to do something.
Yes.
Florida State can do nothing because they're 1-7. So unlike North Carolina, they've officially been eliminated from any type of bowl game. They lost to Miami by 22, lost to Duke by 7, lost to Clemson by 16, lost to SMU by 26. They have been bad all year, and we've seen Florida State be bad before. Now, they had a great year last year, but you're looking at Florida State and how the crowd atmosphere is going to look. How empty are the stands going to be for a 1-7 Florida State team on a Saturday? Probably empty. I feel like
I can't imagine to be anything other than that.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like in college football, people always focus on home field advantage because of, it's college kids, they're traveling. I don't think anybody's going to be at this game. I don't know why anybody on Florida State at the actual student body would want to go to this game. But North Carolina has the better quarterback. Florida State has no quarterback. Florida State has scored less than 22 points in every game this season. They have scored less than 17 points in each of the last 7 games. Less than 17 points in 7 straight games. North Carolina might not be a good defensive team, but they can score. And Chris Wells, not a bad quarterback, even though he was basically the third option going into the season. North Carolina, though, is incentivized. Florida State wants the season to end already. They are playing for nothing. And I think this line's too cheap. All I know is even though Mac Brown has not done a great job this season with the team, they can score. Florida State can't. And Florida State at home this season has also not been very good. Going to the home numbers for this team, played Boston College, lost by 15. Played Memphis, lost by 8. Barely beat Cal. They scored 14 points in that game and they won. Played Clemson, lost by 16. And once again, with them being at home, that has not meant much for this team this season. Give me North Carolina. I think if they get to 24, that's probably good enough to actually win the game. Florida State can't score. I can't back them. Give me North Carolina minus 2.5.
I love the under. I love North Carolina. I don't hate this in any way, shape, or form. North Carolina's probably on a few parlays for me, just in a few things.
They're motivated. They won a game. They stopped the bleeding.
Exactly.
They can make a bowl game. There's a lot to play for North Carolina.
Florida State's checked out.
This is the easiest game based on schedule that North Carolina has left. And if they want to make a bowl game, it's a lot easier to get there if you get the job done here.
Yep. First things first, they got to get past Florida State. I think they know that, and I think that's the motivation in the locker room. I love North Carolina here, and I think Chris Wells is a decent quarterback. I don't think he's going far like in the NFL or anything like
he's
that.
He's not going to make the NFL, but he was the third string guy on a team.
Right.
He's done a pretty good job with this team.
With what he's had, I think he's done a very good job. This is more for me. I think North Carolina is a good team, an okay team. I think their record's pretty accurate at 4-4.
I think North Carolina is a bowl game caliber team. Florida State, what are they playing for? Because you know that after they won the conference title last year, they got killed in the Orange Bowl by Georgia. It is what it is. But you figure after that, like, okay, we'll respond. We'll get back there. They're 1-7. Everybody that showed up for the team again probably is already waiting to go to the draft, or they're just waiting to transfer. I got to imagine that Norvell lost the locker room weeks ago. I got to imagine it's all negativity with Florida State. So I can't back that team. I think that based on them being eliminated from bowl game contention, besides pride, which is very, very slim right now, what are they playing for? The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
So there we go.
Nothing at all. There you have it. We're going North Carolina. Tar Heels minus 2.5. Don't forget, guys, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate everybody stopping by. I'm going to bounce on out of here, though. We got lots of stuff to do. I got kids to take and go and steal candy from. It's Halloween. Have a safe, happy Halloween. As always, we'll see you guys next Thursday. College Capper Show, Scott Rice Show. Anything last you want to plug before we bounce on out of here?
Not really. Find my daily picks on the Whiners page. Of course, I do a bunch of podcasts too. Find all that on Twitter at Rice Show Radio.
Boom. There you have it. Good luck unless you're against us. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.